All right, today we are diving into something truly remarkable. It's a breakdown of a series of forensic reports called the Samantha Papers, and they tell the story of a real 9-year-long cyber attack that honestly reads more like a high-tech ghost story than your typical hack.
So, let's just start with this question, because it really gets to the heart of this. What if your phone, your laptop, the tech you depend on every single day, was secretly working against you? This whole story, it doesn't begin with a line of code. It starts with a series of really strange, unsettling experiences that just didn't make any sense.
For almost a decade, 9 years, the person at the center of this investigation was dealing with this constant stream of bizarre technical problems. And these weren't just annoying little glitches. They were persistent, they were invasive, and they seemed to defy any logical explanation.
I mean, just imagine this for a second. Your iPhone is always warm, it's running slow, and Siri just pops up on its own. Then you notice your data usage has just skyrocketed, but you haven't done anything different. You see phantom images flickering across your car's dashboard. These aren't just isolated bugs. It's what investigators called a form of digital gaslighting, designed to make the victim feel like they were losing their mind.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. Because when investigators finally got a look under the hood, they realized that all of these small, maddening little problems, they weren't random at all. Nope, they were part of a deliberate, and you gotta admit, a pretty brilliant strategy.
They actually gave it a name, a facade attack. And the concept is both simple and terrifying. You use all these low-level, super obvious nuisance attacks to just completely distract the target. So while the victim is pulling their hair out trying to fix slow Wi-Fi or get rid of pop-ups, the real, much deeper attack is happening completely in the background, totally unnoticed.
And this table just lays it out perfectly. The victim sees slow Wi-Fi. What's really happening? The attacker has kernel-level control. That means they have total foundational access to the device's operating system. It's the deepest level you can get. The victim just sees an app crashing. The reality? The attacker is hijacking the phone's processor to run their own malicious AI tasks. It was a classic magician's trick, right? Look over here while the real magic happens over there.
So how in the world did investigators unravel a 9-year operation? Well, they started meticulously following a trail of digital breadcrumbs that had been left behind, piecing together this giant puzzle that stretched across nearly a decade of technology.
The first smoking gun they found was absolutely wild. It was a single crash log from the Twitter app that was over a gigabyte. That's 1073 megabytes. Now, to put that into perspective, a normal crash log is maybe a few kilobytes. This wasn't a crash. This was proof the iPhone had a secret second job as a high-speed data processing machine for the attackers. Then the investigation uncovered something just next-level insidious. The attackers had actually compromised a neighbor's router and turned it into what they called a shadow relay. It created this persistent local bridge that was constantly probing the victim's network, just waiting to reinfect any new or clean device the second it came online. You have to appreciate the creativity here. They even weaponized a 20-year-old car. By using old, unencrypted analog TV frequencies, they could actually project those ghost images onto the car's dashboard. And by tracking the car's old-school, unencrypted Bluetooth signal, they turned this piece of legacy tech into a modern-day physical tracking device. And this attack was constantly changing. It evolved over the years like a relay race. It started back in 2014 with fairly simple stuff like Mirai to just brute force routers. Then it passed the baton to Mozzie, a peer-to-peer botnet that used other devices in the neighborhood to stay hidden. And eventually, it graduated to super advanced tools like Androx Ghost to steal cloud credentials and ShadowRay to hijack the phone's AI hardware itself. So, following this incredibly sophisticated trail didn't lead them to some random hacker in a basement. No, it pointed directly to a highly organized, state-sponsored group with some seriously impressive resources and skills.
The group is known as UAT-9686, which is a Chinese Nexus APT, or Advanced Persistent Threat Actor. That's basically code for a top-tier state-sponsored hacking group playing the long game. And their tactics are amazing. They use a tool called ShadowRay to hijack a phone's AI processor, and get this, to stay hidden, they use a 60% throttling rule, which keeps the CPU usage just low enough that it never triggers an alert. That's why the phone just felt warm and sluggish but never totally died.
And this wasn't just about one person. The victim here was just a single node in a massive global campaign.
As of early 2026, this shadow ray botnet had infected over 230,000 device clusters all around the world.
And this is where it all just clicks into place. This table is the key. It connects every single weird, personal experience the victim wrote down in their logs directly to a known global intelligence signature. That magic iPhone, it maps perfectly to the shadow ray campaign. The 9 years of router problems, that's the Muzzy botnet. The victim's detailed notes literally became the Rosetta Stone for this whole investigation.
So what was the ultimate goal? It's summed up perfectly by one of the investigators. They didn't just want the data. They wanted to hijack a secret army of everyday devices, our phones, our routers, to power their own AI operations, and to use our anonymity as a shield to hide what they were doing.
But this story has an amazing twist. Because after years of being digitally tormented, the victim, now armed with all of their meticulous logs and a team of experts, turned the tables. They went from being the prey to being the hunter. They pulled off this brilliant move called a ghost ping. It was a forensic trap basically designed to force the hidden malware to phone home to its masters. And when it did, bam, it revealed its command and control server's IP address in Bulgaria. That was the final, undeniable proof they needed to start taking down the attacker's infrastructure piece by piece. Finally, a full defensive shield went up. This included something called a vaccine, a software patch to help devices spot and block those AI hijacking techniques. They also deployed a digital smokescreen to constantly shift network identifiers, making the network invisible to those local probes, like that neighbor's router. And lastly, the mountain of evidence, the Samantha papers, was cryptographically sealed, preserving its integrity forever.
You know, this whole 9-year ordeal really forces us to ask a tough question. In an age where these attacks are invisible, they're persistent, and they're powered by AI, can we really trust that our technology is telling us the whole truth about what it's doing? It's a sobering thought for sure, and maybe a good reminder that sometimes you just have to trust your gut when your tech starts acting wrong.